look at this, y'all. Y'all look at the screen, man. Y'all know it. Hey, people, what up? What's good, man? Welcome back to another balance patch, balance update video where we do what? We look at the cards. We talk about the changes, man. So y'all leave a like. Let's get this video to 20 likes. Also, you guys, I'm going to be a part of a tournament called the Tournament of Power. I'm going to leave all the links to, the information about that in the description. Shout outs to Super Tech Guy. I don't know if you all have heard him. Much bigger content creator invited me to this tournament, man. So y'all be sure to definitely check out the links in the description. There's going to be a big stream with a giveaway, next week. And we're just gonna be showing all the tournament matches, right? So y'all could be excited for that. But let's get into this patch, man. I'm really, bro. So we got Professor X, Cannonball, Hella, Ebony Blade. Y'all know I've been complaining about the Red Hulk for it seemed like years at this point, but we got him, Big Gilgamesh, Captain America, Shanna, and Stegron. I like the cards they chose to change this week, and let's just get right into it, man. Let's get right into it. So we're gonna start Professor X. So they went ahead and actually gave him one more point of power, but they changed his ability to moving is the only way to add or remove a card from here. So let me tell y'all, before I even read the developer's note, let me tell y'all what I think of this, right? So obviously, ever since nerfing Zabu, who have we seen in his stead? Ravonna. Who does Ravonna benefit? Professor X, Goblins, Angela, mostly like junk cards and stuff like that. But I mean, Professor X was out of hand, and so I think that actually giving him a little bit more power is a good nerf, even though it doesn't seem like a nerf. Obviously you're buffing the card, but because he has 2 power now, you're not really going to be able to put him on every Ravonna deck. You know what I'm saying? Also, I like this nerf because it says moving is the only way to add or remove a card from here. So you're nerfing something that's broken while simultaneously buffing, move decks, right? We obviously, or probably not obviously, but I think that we can all agree that move is probably the worst, if not one of the worst archetypes in the game. So just, making this change to Professor X, giving the move deck a little bit more of a niche. I like that, man. So let's go ahead and read what they have to say, right? We've seen glimpses of the danger Professor X could pose over the last year or so, but rarely realized that potential. In many decks where Professor X was popular, such as Thanos, Professor X wasn't often one of the better cards. However, things have changed over the last month. Professor X has reached new heights, and that's not just because it solves other threats. Xavier is doing significant work against a sea of matchups. Given the gameplay of Professor X, it isn't something we want to become a dominant element of the metagame, and we decided to make a change once the existing card pool failed to effectively counter Professor X. This change removes 2 ways Professor X shut down locations: switching sides and movement. The latter is the most meaningful, as cards that can move will now be able to challenge Professor X, while Cannonball, a dominant card in its own right, would no longer create a combo. We may arrive at a better solution in the future. Excuse me, y'all. As we know, this weakens the story of the card considerably, right? So, they targeted him and Cannonball, but it actually buffs moves decks. Makes Cannonball weaker, obviously, because you're not going to be able to turn everybody into a rock, as easily as you were before. But I also think that this is pretty cool because you're also going to be able to use Professor X in the Cerebro 2 deck now. It might be a little bit of a challenge because he is 5 cost, but that's just another way you open up the card, despite it receiving, a huge nerf in this regard, right? So y'all let me know what y'all think of Professor X. I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can, man. Big Cannonball up next. Took away his power, took away his synergy with Professor X. Makes sense, right? This card, I mean, it's really crazy, bro, because you look at every 5 cost card, right? You look at every 5 cost card, while a few of them have the potential to be a lot stronger than Cannonball. I mean, we got Gamora, Red Skull, just to name a couple of them, right? they don't have the same impact, because you're able to, not only were you able to get 8 points, but win the game by moving somebody or just destroying the card like that. That's crazy. So it was 5-8, but it was really way stronger than that. You know what I'm saying? If you really consider how I just explained it, right? Let's go ahead and read what they had to say. Speaking of Cannonball, that card has spent weeks as one of the top cards in the game and seen a ton of play to boot. While we're optimistic that removing Professor X will blunt that strength enough, Cannonball's dominance has been thorough and in enough different decks that we're taking away 1 power. This should help ensure the metagame does shift and that a few other 5 costs can return to the fray. If this hits Cannonball too hard, we can always revert it. And honestly, you guys, I don't think that this is going to hit him too hard, because I mean, his ability is still just an excellent ability, right? And so maybe you're not going to be able to use him in the same way that you were with that lockdown, that Professor X lockdown. But just the fact that they're opening up move decks as well, you're gonna be able to really see him alongside like Kingpin and Kraven. Although you were before, but now just them promoting move as an archetype, you more often, or you have a better chance to see him on that than some cheesy stuff, right? So I mean, I like these first 2 changes. I think they were necessary, and I think they actually did the right thing, bro. Y'all know I criticize the developers' decisions almost every patch, but I like what they're doing right now, finally. And look, man, this is another card, Hela and Red Hulk. We've been complaining for so long, or at least I have. I don't know about y'all, but they went ahead and changed Hela to resurrect all cards you discarded to random locations with -2 power. That's a big deal, man. Now, obviously, this really impacts that Hela Tribunal deck, because you got the -2 on Iron Man. You know what I mean? -2 on Onslaught. So everybody's a lot weaker. And I like it because you're not just like, you might have to run not Professor X. You might have to run Luke Cage on your discard deck. And I know a lot of people love to just not think on discard. You just throw a whole bunch of big cards and hope you get Hela at the end of the game. But they're adding at least somewhat of a, I don't know, like an intelligence barrier, a skill barrier. You know what I mean? Do I think that this is the right decision? I don't know if it is or not, but I like it, right? I like it. Let's read what they had to say about it though. We've spoken at length on Hela in various forms. The deck has passionate fans and detractors alike, and has largely stayed within the tolerances we established for it. However, something else that's important to our definition of a balanced metagame is that players have options where they find problems. That's the foundational idea of beyond creating release valves within the card pool that can address various pressures. While Death and Sarah are strong, whether Death and Sarah are strong or not, Mobius M is there for players who feel such threats merit special attention. Let's continue to read this last part. Moving Leech to a 4 cost was one of the ways we tried to address this, but in that case, the cure provided worse than the disease. We've tried subtler things, but have yet to see the kind of success we hoped for. We also debated a variety of cards we could add to the game to serve this role, but new cards take time to get into the player's hands, and y'all making them take more time. So today we're taking action very similar to what we did with Galactus, adding functionality that will better balance dial on the card itself. Y'all don't know what y'all think of this change, man. An alternative change I was thinking of was obviously just take away power from Hela. I felt like she could have been 6-0. I think that would have been fine. Maybe not, considering the fact that making her 6-0 makes her, synergize with Ravonna, so you'd be able to get her out on turn 5, do some Mr. Negative cheese. So maybe like 6-2 would have been better. But this is better than nothing, right? I'm glad they finally decided to touch up a card that has, last time I looked at it on stream with you guys was a 70% win rate. Like, come on, bro. But we got they got 3 hits, man. So I'm happy. Let me know what y'all think. Let's get to this blade, man. So they just went ahead and changed the blade to Instead of can't be destroyed and power can be reduced, now it's can't be destroyed, right? This is obviously to accommodate for Hela, but also, man, the Ebony Blade was very hard to deal with before. Like, in order to counter it, you had to either Enchantress and then Shang it, or Rogue and then Shang it. Like, and then, like, do you really even have time to do that? On top of that, like, it's going in the Hela deck anyways. So even if you destroy the Blade, they're gonna get their Infinite back, their Magneto back, Death back, whoever. So I mean, they have to touch up discard because it's so hard to play against, right? If you don't have Cosmo, you know what I mean, it's very hard to deal with. Obviously a junk deck might serve you well, a mill deck. I mean, a mill deck serves you well against everything because you're literally stealing from your opponent. But you know, a junk deck, you're clogging the lane up, so when they do play Hela, you know, they're not going to be able to fill up their entire board with the strong cards. But you know, outside of that, man, it's just too easy to scrub out a win with discard. So I like this. So let's go ahead and read what they had to say. This change is technically impactful to Hela, but that's not why we're making it. We've been happy to see Black Knight find plenty of homes after sort of a soft start, but have decided that giving the Ebony Blade complete protection from interference is unnecessarily strong. Having a large card that's immune to Shang-Chi is novel and powerful enough to see play, and it wasn't trivial to let Ebony Blade freely dodge locations like Negative Zone either. Yeah, man, I like this. I can't believe there's 4 changes in a row that I like, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think of this. You know, I just kind of explained it as for myself. Now let's get into this dude, bro. This dude been giving me issues ever since he came out. I've been crying about him ever since he came out. So they decided to nerf him again. Excuse me, y'all. And so his new stats are 6 cost, 10 power. When your opponent ends the turn with unspent energy, +3 if in hand or in play. So I like this. I think that he should always start at the Shang-Chi threshold, bro. There's no reason that, you know, I play Shang on the last turn anticipating him, forgetting that he's like a 9, and then with that 2 extra energy he gets boosted, you know, to, what was it before, 13? I mean, he's still gonna be 13, but you're gonna be able to kill him immediately, right? And you guys, I've explained what my issue is with Red Hulk so many times. I honestly think that it could go down to +2 power, because if you look at the basic, and I'm just gonna explain it one last time. You look at the basic Hulk, right? You put him on the high Evo deck. High Evo is a drawback because you now have an 11 card deck with high Evo as a useless card. So basic Hulk has 612 with +2 power. You know what I mean? Red Hulk, who you can just throw on your deck without any, you know, you don't have to put another card to be able to activate his ability. He's already gaining more points than Hulk, who already has a limit. So I feel like the +2, the 610, I think is fine. Like he can start off weaker than the Hulk because you have to put another card alongside Evolved Hulk to be able to get him to work, right? Like I just think that it doesn't make sense that he's stronger than the Hulk to me. You know what I'm saying? Let's read what they have to say. I like the change, but yeah, man, go ahead and nerf him one more time. Change that +3 to +2. It is with a heavy, fiery heart that we're sanding a touch. Okay, this is why they ain't nerf him. They love him. Word. The goal for this card was to position it as a simple big monster with ranging strength, but that range hasn't been wide enough to ensure sufficient healthy competition with other 6 cost cards. This is a fairly small tweak, but the card doesn't look like it's super far ahead in the data. There are plenty of novel decks playing 6 cost cards that aren't Red Hulk. It's just been the default for far too many decks aiming to make power without leaning on heavy synergies, right? Like I explained it, y'all. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. Y'all let me know what y'all think of Red Hulk. We on to the next dude, Big Body Gilg, 5'9". I like it. Now, honestly, you guys, I thought that Gilgamesh was pretty strong as he was. You know, obviously the Blue Marvel deck, he mainly fits into that, right? Obviously, you can also run him on something with, you know, maybe Mr. Negative, something with Medusa. I guess that would be like more so of an reveal deck, like some Medusa, Wong, Ironheart type stuff. But I feel like you're gonna get the best mileage out of him using him with Blue Marvel Brood, Patriot, that type of thing, right? But I mean, I like them. I'm not mad at it, bro. He's a season pass card. Make him cheap, make him broken, and then nerf him next season. After seeing a few of our big cards go too big, we were more careful with Gilgamesh. The occasional Blob or Red Hulk will happen, but positioning such a card as the season pass would be a little more worrisome. They saying they not buying the season passes this month. We got to do something. However, after the first week of play, it looks like we were too careful. It looks like our sales were bad, so let's go ahead and buff. This is a fairly fast turnaround to make on a new. I'm not even reading this, bro. We know why they buffed him. Next. Captain America, bro. 3-3 instead of 3-2. This is a interesting change. If you consider it immediately, it looks like a buff, but you're actually now you're not going to be able to run him on a Cerebro 2 deck, because an interesting thing that you were going to be able to do before when he was at 3-2 was play him in the lane with Cerebro and Mystique. That way you can actually be able to boost those two cards in the Cerebro 2 deck, as opposed to just being able to boost everything else. But now you can't do that, unfortunately. But he is better, I guess, in other ongoing decks, and I guess that's fine, right? Just a small tweak to Captain America here. We've hit the Spectrum ongoing deck slightly harder than we wanted during the last OTA, and we like to ensure Cap is an appealing card for early and in-game ongoing decks alike. I feel like they could probably give him a little bit more power too, like 3-4. I feel like it's fine. You know what I mean? But like they mentioned before, it's kind of hard when you're dealing with those like starter cards, because you don't want to make them too strong because they're the starter cards. You want to get people to buy new cards, and you want the cards you unlock to be stronger. So it's tough, but I guess I like it. But again, you're not going to be able to use them in Cerebro 2, and I guess Mr. Negative, if you were going to use them that way, you can't, or you can, but it's just worse, right? So interesting, man. Young Shanna, they went ahead and gave her 2 points. I think this is fine, man. Shanna is a very interesting card. Obviously, you can run her actually on the Destroy deck. Shanna into Killmonger can get your free death out, or use her, get your other 1-cost cards out, get a free Mockingbird. So you were able to use her in a lot of different ways before, but I did think she was a little bit too weak. So I like this 3-4, man. So let's read what they had to say. Yeah, we're doing this again. Shanna is a tricky card to evaluate, as the card winds up taking 4 slots and has so much variance and power. We don't like to change the same card a ton of times. Boy, y'all changed Thanos like 10 times. But it's been a while since the last try. We'd held off for so long, in part because we expected that Mockingbird and Gilgamesh Zoo decks might provide the lift we needed, but that hasn't been the case. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can use her with Mockingbird. I feel like Mockingbird, though, you're probably better off running Mockingbird with Brood, because the thing about the 1-cost cards is Killmonger, right? On top of the one cost cards usually being weaker, you have Killmonger, right? So he deals with everything. So it's kind of hard, to really run Mockingbird alongside Shanna when you have better choices. Right, but I like this, man. I honestly, you guys, I really like every change. I'm kind of iffy about this Captain America, but yeah, your boy not really complaining that much, which is a surprise. Last but not least, Big Stegron got 1 more point. He was too weak. He needed something, right? So Stegron is one of those fine cards that has never really been good or bad. It just failed to find a steady home, and we think it's in part due to the original effects. Y'all, my bad. I'm like, I had some seafood. Randomness hurting its appeal and its strength. Giving Stegron a more specific effect will create more space from existing cards and perhaps lead Stegron claiming a space in its own, all in its own. So yeah, man, change it from randomness to move it 1 location to the right. Obviously gonna work a lot better with your, your Crave and your Kingpin. Fix your move decks a lot better. You actually gonna be able to slot him in, and it's actually gonna be worth your while every time, right? Because you know exactly what he's going to do. And I mean, that's the end of the patch, man. We went through a lot of different cards. Honestly, like I said, man, I like every change except for the Captain America, but I also think that's fine. Y'all let me know what y'all agree with or disagree with. And as always, man, I appreciate you guys for watching. We're on the road to 2K subs, and I'll see y'all next time, man.